I want this video to be another lesson as to why it's important to not be first when spouting hot takes on social media. Because yes, being first leads to engagement, likes, subscribers, potential money, and the opportunity for you to grow based off of your hot take and how right you could be in the moment. But there's always that risk of you being wrong, and you allow your hurt feelings or hurt ego or just your bias getting you to defend something you probably shouldn't be defending because you have a lack of knowledge on it. And it's important to just wait a little bit because something may seem sketchy and you might end up defending something you don't need to be defending. What am I talking about? Well, I was perusing the internet, allowing my algorithm to show me beautiful, tall, Latina Amazonian women when I come across this video of two gay men holding a baby, and honestly thought nothing of it. Couldn't care less because it was nothing that either enhanced my day or derailed my day. So I just moved on to the next thing. But as I kept scrolling, I saw people having reactions to this video because it kept showing up in my algorithm, and people were very upset at what they were seeing. And I saw all of these people being very bombastic about how it's two gay men adopting a child. Clearly that child's gonna grow up a little bit unstable. And the defenses from some people were almost comical with the hindsight that I'm gonna show you later. Derek, just shut your mouth, you homophobic prick. You've got multiple convictions and spread hate everywhere you go. You'd hope your kids don't turn out like you. Now, I don't know who this Derek is, but maybe he's also a little bit unstable and shouldn't be around children. Looks pretty normal to me. For those who say every child deserves a mother and a father, I would intuitively agree. However, people who study and deal with children for a living, like the American Academy of Pediatrics, do not support this view. Also, never forget that all the bad people in history of humanity, every single one of them were raised by heterosexuals. So who are we to judge? Okay? It has a perfectly great chance at life, a life filled with love and compassion. As long as the baby is surrounded by those who support and care for them, they will do just fine. I just hope that the baby's parents understand to step back and listen and hear their child and to not ignore their needs over selfish, unnecessary wants. Imagine seeing a loving family and saying this. You are the type of people who would make that child's life hard. And my personal favorite, makes me happy that baby is going to be raised not to hate people and will be loved. And you know what, class? We live in a society where there's a lot of hate in the world. We live in a society where some people get very dramatic seeing things online and not knowing the full context. And we also live in a world where that thing happens and people galvanize the troops in order to defend a group of people or just two individuals and think to themselves they're the ones who are protecting the peace in the world. But remember what I said at the beginning, that when you're the first person to say something, you run that risk of success in a bunch of people agreeing with you and saying that you're right. But you also run that risk of maybe, just maybe, defending a gay man who is a registered that really, in the grand scheme, if we're all living on the same plane here, should not have access to any child ever again for as long as they walk this fucking earth, because that is what this dude is. 24 hours after the video went viral on social media, it has been confirmed that one of the men in the video is a registered child. Brandon Keith Mitchell, terrible name, is a tier 1 in the state of Pennsylvania and was arrested in 2016 after attempting to solicit a 16-year-old boy for sex. The victim in this case was a student at the Downingtown West High School where Mitchell had worked as a chemistry teacher, and he was 30 years old at the time. According to records released by the Chester County District Attorney's Office and the Downingtown Police Department, Mitchell solicited the boy to send him nude photographs. He also told the victim he wanted to watch him masturbate and sent nasty. Police executed a search warrant of the teacher's electronic devices and phone records, which revealed that he exchanged over 12,000 text messages with the victim. These conversations lasted from May of 2013 until December of 2014. Mitchell had instructed the victim to delete their conversations, clearly because he knew what he was doing and he knew if he got caught, he would not have a strong defense. Police also recovered hundreds of sexually explicit videos of the nasty. Mitchell pleaded guilty to felony child possession and 1 count of corruption of minors and was sentenced to up to 23 months of incarceration, but court records show that he was granted parole just 2 months following his conviction. So another example as to why my justice system is nothing more than a joke. Part of his conditions included that he have no unsupervised contact with minors and that he surrender his teaching license. He quickly moved on to obtain a job as a chemist at Eurofin's biopharma product testing in Lancaster, where he has worked for the past 9 years. In 2021, Mitchell married Logan Riley, a second grade teacher from Maryland, and moved to the Seven Valleys, Pennsylvania in 2023. The two launched a GoFundMe to raise money for a surrogate. My name is Logan, and I'm a second grade teacher. I don't need to worry about your GoFundMe money. Nowhere in the GoFundMe's description does Riley mention that his husband is a convicted. So let's pause right there. You want people to help you. You want people to give you money. You want people to be on your side in making sure that you get what you want, which is a surrogate so that you could pay them, you could sign a contract, and you, after 9 months, could have your baby in your possession and you could raise them as a family. And I'm going to assume that you know about your husband's past. You know that your husband is somebody who's not supposed to be around children. So as you are trying your best to get people to understand your plight, you have to craft the most powerful, passionate message under the sun, and you have to leave out that your husband is. Because in the realm of people donating their money to stupid things that are pointless to them, you would think that people, if they were to be aware that they would be donating to help a be getting access towards a child, they would not give that money. Maybe somebody would be stupid enough, but overall, I'm going to have a little bit of faith in humanity and say that if they were to be aware of that, they would not give them that money whatsoever. So honestly, I'm not going to fault anyone who donated because you clearly didn't know. No one knew until now. So it's fine there. But the fact that this piece of shit thought to himself, all right, I can't do this by telling the truth, I have to lie, speaks truth to power as to how people are using GoFundMes to just finagle their way around conversations just so that they could seem like the desperate people who are fighting to have normalcy in this world. In November of 2023, Riley updated the GoFundMe with news that they had successfully found a surrogate. The couple raised just over $2,000 from friends and family, though the goal had $50,000. So you know what? Props to the world for not giving these people $50,000. Redux reached out to the Division of Pennsylvania State Police responsible for maintaining Mitchell's registration and was informed that the state does not automatically forbid individuals convicted of from having children, gaining custody, or exercising parental right. The entire state of Pennsylvania deserves nothing anymore. Like, I don't like what I'm hearing from Pennsylvania. It's making me want to crawl into a hole and die. While Pennsylvania's adoption law does prohibit sex from adopting or fostering children, gestational surrogacy circumvents any such law through pre-birth parentage orders. Pennsylvania is considered a surrogate-friendly state, and intended parents can obtain a pre-birth order typically after the surrogate has entered her second trimester, which declares the intended parents as the legal parents and places their name on the child's birth certificate. It's unclear if the surrogate was made aware that Mitchell was a convicted prior to agreeing to the arrangement. Speaking to Redux, Helen Gibson of Surrogacy Concerned expressed outrage at the news and called for an immediate investigation by local authorities. And I'm going to just say, and I know that oftentimes I have people who think I'm very homophobic or lesbian phobic or biphobic or transphobic. And I just want those people to know that I am not using this to say no person in the LGBTQ community should be around kids. I'm not going to sit here and say this should be the reason we should enact a law that everyone who's gay or has those rainbows in their bio be banned from being around children. I want you to hear me very fucking clearly when I say this. I want that child taken away from those men right now. I want it to be understood that you can be somebody who can have children through adoption and surrogacy. You should not have a child in your presence if you are a registered sex offender. And that's it. That's the cut to print. There's no bombastic rebuttal that anybody can have with me. There's no conversation about the rights and the plights. It's not going to exist. I'm not going to compute it because anything anyone could say to counter me will just be met with your defense defending a sex offender being around a child. You're defending somebody who is lusting after a 13-year-old, 16-year-old, I don't remember the age of the first victim, and you're expecting me to hold faith that after all this time, he's changed his ways and now he could be around an infant. No, not gonna be something I could really put my teeth on. And to just distract for a moment, because I know this is gonna sound weird, but just hang with me for a little bit. Hulk Hogan just died, and the conversation around him is, should people be paying respects because he's a racist, and should you care about a racist, and how come people are mad at Hulk Hogan and all this? And one of the things that has been interesting to see from people is the conversation around, oh, this happened in the past and forgiveness is a virtue blessed by God, and who are we to judge? Listen, I'm somebody who doesn't really have the strongest faith in the Lord, but I'm getting there as time goes on. And I would just like to say that even though my bond with God is getting stronger and stronger, I will not forgive a fucking sex offender. I will not fucking take the time out to hear somebody lecture me about forgiveness for somebody who lusted after a child and tried to circumvent their way around being with a child in the future and successfully got it via GoFundMe donations and a law that lets them circumvent the entire process. It is not something that could be in my forefront. It is not something that I'm going to get behind, and fuck anyone that's going to try me. I want that child away from this fuck because this fuck is unsavory. Don't even leave him with the husband, because the husband was sitting there probably knowing that his spouse was somebody that shouldn't be around kids, and you still decided some way, shape, or form to say, you know what we should have? A family with a younger version of us growing up in our care. This has happened before. It has happened once again. And I fear that no matter the sexuality, it's going to occur again, where people who shouldn't be around children end up with access to a child in the worst manner possible, being their fucking parent. And if the surrogate didn't know about this, that's triple of a fucking problem, because you're supposed to go through a bunch of checks and balances before you sign on to do this shit, and to find out after that you gave birth to a child and gave it to a sex offender might just eat you up inside. But let me know, was I a little bit too harsh in this video? Was I overly mean? Or did I have just the right amount of sauce considering what the fuck was in front of my face this entire time? And while you let me know all of that, I'm going to pick up my phone and I'm going to scroll and look at very tall women who probably wouldn't like the fact that I'm 5'9". Subscribe to the channel, go rinse out your eyes. Remember, humanity is often disappointing, and our justice system routinely proves that it was a mistake and needs some sort of course correction. Mwah! Goodbye.